This program is suitable for most people. However, it should not replace a supervised exercise program. Please consult your local doctor before commencing an exercise program, especially if you have one or more of the following: have had joint surgery, any medical condition affecting your heart, lungs or blood pressure, joint inflammation, you have not been doing regular exercise. Stop exercising immediately if you experience one or more of the following: chest pain, shortness of breath, nausea, dizziness, numbness or tingling in the arms or legs, severe pain or discomfort in your joints. The producers and distributors disclaim any liability or loss, personal or otherwise, resulting from procedures in this program.
Good morning, welcome to this episode of Move It or Lose It. My name's Stephanie. I teach yoga and meditation. The class that we'll be doing today is completely lying down. So you can do that lying on a yoga mat like we've got here. You can also do all of these lying down in bed. So first thing in the morning when you wake up, or when you're going to bed at night and getting ready to sleep, or in fact anywhere in between. Let's take a moment now to lie down and we'll get this class started. Now that we're lying down comfortably, take a few moments just to make sure your hips feel good and you really are flat and even on the floor. To begin with, we're just going to be working from the feet and moving up the body through the different joints and different areas. So to begin with, take your toes and press them away from the body as far as you can. Now bring the toes back towards the body. So press your toes towards the body, press the heels as far away from the body as you can. You'll really feel all the muscles through the underside of the legs working hard here as you press away. We'll do that a couple of times. So now press the toes all the way away from the body. And then again, the heels away. When the heels press away, the toes really press towards the body. A few more times. Really pressing all the way from the hips down through all the muscles on the underside of your legs. And then relaxing, and then the toes pressing away so you feel all the muscles from your hips downwards all through the legs, pressing in that same direction as the toes. Coming back again, relax for a moment, and then heels pressing away. Toes again, one more time, and then heels again, one more time. And relaxing completely. For the next pose that we're going to do, bring the feet a little bit wider apart, so just a bit wider than hip distance apart. With this pose, we'll be pointing the toes towards the body and then away from the body. So it's important that you keep the heels pressing away just slightly, the toes towards the body. So now let's drop the toes in towards the middle of the body. You should feel this in the lower back more often than not, in the hips. Let's come back to the center, and then we're going to drop the toes out towards the outside of your body. Coming all the way back in again, pressing in. Good. You'll feel the legs right up in the hip joint, really twisting there, and rotating outwards again. So we want to feel the leg bones in the hips really rotating inwards and then rotating outwards. We'll do this a few more times. This is a great pose for really increasing the mobility of the hips as well as the strength in the small muscles in and around the knees. We ask a lot of our knees. We ask them to carry us around all day. We ask them to be strong, but to be flexible. This is a great way to help them stay nice and healthy. Okay, let's relax there when you finish your next sequence. Give yourself a little bit of a wriggle if you need to. We're going to bring the feet directly underneath the legs again, so hip distance apart, just a fraction closer together than they were before. Should work perfectly fine. The next pose we're doing is focusing a little bit more on the hips themselves directly. So you'll see my hands here. What we're aiming to do is to press, let's start with the right hip away from the body like that. The left hip pulls up towards the hips, and then we'll shimmy the other way, so sliding the left hip down as the right hip comes up. Keep going, hold for just a few moments, and then shimmy the other way as well. So drawing one hip really up high towards the ribs as the other moves in the opposite direction. As with all the poses that we're doing, make sure that you listen to your body, make sure that you stay within what's comfortable. It's okay to feel the sensation of muscles stretching. There can be a lot of stretching that's happening here, but we don't want to feel any actual pain. If you do, ease off just a little and take it a little bit more slowly. Be gentle with yourselves. Continue on like this so that you can really get a lot of movement through the hips. And we'll rest there, come back to the center. Lift your hips off the ground just a little and let them rest again. We'll just stay there for one moment. Take a long breath, let yourself feel soft. If you have to give your hips a small shake, that's totally fine as well. We're going to bring the knees up now for the next pose. Bring the feet flat on your mat. Take a moment to lift your hips and tuck your tailbone under so that your hips are nice and comfortable. For the next pose, we'll just be dropping the knees down to each side. Again, just go as far as is comfortable for you. So take your knees down to one side and then come back up and over to the other side. We'll continue doing this, dropping down to one side, back to center, dropping to the other side and back to center. Again, just looking for that mobility through the hips. Loosening up, getting rid of any tension that might be there. Let your breathing here just go flow naturally. Whatever is comfortable is perfectly fine. Okay, we'll continue one more time on each side. And then we'll come back to center. Let your legs extend all the way out, away from the body. Let yourselves feel soft and relaxed just for a moment there. We're going to take a short break after that pose. We'll come back in just a few moments. Welcome back to this episode of Move It or Lose It. We'll continue on with our lying down session of yoga. The next pose that we're going to do is a spinal roll. It can be a little bit tricky to see exactly what's going on, but really feel into your body, and really your focus should be on each vertebrae and just trying to move them almost individually. You'll see what I mean as we go on with the pose. So to begin with, make sure you're comfortable, make sure you feel nice and flat on the mat or the bed, wherever you should be. We're going to start by tucking the tailbone under. So the hips will scoop up just a little, the lower back will press into the mat underneath you. And then I want you to focus on each vertebra at a time, pressing into the mat, rolling all the way up towards your head. So relax once you've done that, and we'll go again. So pressing your tailbone into the floor, the middle back presses into the floor, the upper back presses into the floor, and then the shoulders press into the floor. You might notice the chest comes up just a little bit. It's like a wave motion. Each vertebra, one at a time, rolls down, pressing into the mat, and then releases as you go. Give it a few tries so that you get the hang of it. So rolling the hips up, lower back down, middle back down, upper back down, and all the way up to the neck. Relax. Again, tailbone down, middle back down, rolling all the way up. We'll keep going with that. Allow your breath to just move as is comfortable, really focusing on each part of the spine individually, flowing towards the mat underneath you as you're reaching up towards the neck. Lower back down, rolling all the way up. It's a really small movement. Doesn't have to be a big movement. You'll definitely feel like you're doing something, even if you can't quite see what's going on. Increasing the mobility of the spine, working your way from the lower back all the way up through the whole spine and lifting up. Now, if you're not quite sure that you're getting it right, that's perfectly fine. As long as your attention is on the spine and you feel like you're working from your hips and pressing each vertebrae one at a time into the mat and then releasing, that's exactly what we're aiming for. Every time you consciously act towards moving, particularly through the spine, you'll be increasing your mobility. It may be that there isn't much mobility at the moment. You continue doing these kinds of exercises, you'll certainly increase the mobility that you currently have. We'll continue there just for a few more moments. Okay. The next pose that we're going to do, we're moving up towards the shoulders. So let's remember the hip pose that we did just before, where we were shimmying the hips up and down. We're going to do pretty much the same thing now with the shoulders. So think about, let's start with your right shoulder pressing away from the body. Keep your hands down at the floor. I'm just showing you that the shoulders are moving. So right shoulder down as the left shoulder comes up, and then shimmy the other way. Right shoulder comes up as the left shoulder goes down. So you'll feel the upper part of your spine moving in opposite directions, pressing away as far as you can with one arm while the other arm comes really up high into the socket, and then switching to the other side. Again, these are areas of the body, particularly the shoulders, where many of us carry a lot of tension. So don't be too concerned if you feel like there's not a lot of movement there. You'll just increase the mobility you have every time you are doing things like this. It's always a work in progress. Shimmying up as you move down, sliding one down as you slide the other shoulder up. Continue on like this for a few minutes more. Will really allow the shoulders to get a lot of movement, a lot of repetition of this, so that we have increased the mobility by the time we're finishing this session. Okay, let's rest the shoulders there now. Give them a little bit of a wriggle so that they can relax. Turn your palms out. Make sure your shoulder blades are flat on the mat and just take a breath there for a moment. It's a lot of movement of really quite small, intricate muscles, so we'll just let them rest for a couple of breaths. Okay, we've got a couple more movements to do in this session, but we'll just take a short break now and afterwards come back and finish off. Thanks so much. Welcome back to this lying down yoga session. Let's continue on where we left off. We'll do one more pose that involves the shoulders before we move on. So bring your arms out to the sides, roughly level with your shoulders on both sides. So now, as you breathe in, I want you to press your right arm as far away from the body as you can. So really reaching as far away as possible. Then relax and go to the left. So left side stretching out as far as possible. We'll do this a few more times, really reaching and then switching and really reaching. Continue on just for a few more moments. You can have your hands resting on the bed or on the floor, that's perfectly fine. Reaching as far away as you can. You might find that your opposite hip presses down really firmly. That's totally fine, very normal, not a problem. Reaching like you're trying to almost press the upper part of your rib cage away from the body along with the arms. You might notice some tension through the shoulders as you're doing this. Perfectly normal. That's what we're trying to get rid of. Okay. After your next stretch, relax, bring your hands down to your sides, turn the palms up again, give the arms a bit of a shake if you feel the need to, and rest there just for a moment. Doesn't look like much, but it can feel like a lot of work through the shoulders and through the arms, that pose. So take a long breath, let yourself relax before we move on. Okay, let's turn the palms of your hands downwards on the mat or on the bed. We're going to do some neck extensions here. So begin by looking straight up towards the sky. We'll take the head down to one side, facing as far as you can, looking over your shoulder. Let's come back all the way to the middle, and we'll go to the other side as well. Coming back to the center, and we'll continue on like this. Now, it's important, as always, that you listen to your body. You shouldn't feel any pain. If you're finding a lot of tension in one side or the other, just ease off slightly. You don't need to go as far as is actually possible. You can stop just a little bit before that point so that you're enjoying the stretch rather than it being a problem for you. Back to center, across to the second side. Really allow your neck to get a good stretch, using the weight of the head to really press. And just allow the head to fall to that side, ears towards the mat before you come up again. Hold for a moment at your fullest extension before you come back to center. Okay, let's rest back at center. When you come back to that point, we're going to do up and down with the neck extensions as well. So take the chin away from the body as far as you can up high. And then coming down, tuck your chin towards the hollow of your neck. Lifting all the way up, press the chin away from the body. And coming back to center, letting the chin press in towards your chest. Just a couple more of these. Letting the rest of your body really relax, feel still and calm. And when you finish your neck sequence, just rest in the middle one more time. We're going to do one more pose here before our meditation. We're just going to go through the whole body together as a whole. I want you to spend a few moments tensing and relaxing each muscle group. So start down at the feet, press the heels away from the body firmly and let them go. Press them away from the body firmly and let them go. Really spread the toes out, press the heels away and relax. We'll work on the calves now, so think about your calf muscles, hugging your bones and releasing. Again, hugging the bones and releasing. Working your way up through the quads as well, so quads and the glutes, everything tensing, drawing the muscles up and in together and letting everything go, being completely still. Again, tensing, contracting the muscles and then releasing, letting them go. We'll work up through the hips. We'll do a spinal roll the same as we did before, so press the lower back into the mat underneath you, roll up, really just tightening everything for a moment and letting go. Working your way up the body, contracting, releasing, contracting the muscles, releasing the muscles. Up through the shoulders as well. Press your shoulder blades into the mat underneath you and let go. Pressing, contracting, letting go. Releasing any last little bits of tension that you might have. Even the hands, let's make little fists with the hands and then press the fingers away from the body. Rotate the hands and the wrists a couple of times as well. And when you're done, relax. Let the whole body feel really still, really quiet. The last part of this session will be our meditation. So let your whole body feel soft and still. Let your eyes close. We'll take a few long, quiet breaths here. Just allow the whole body to sink into the mat underneath you. Let yourselves be still. Let all of your muscles feel soft. Let the breath move through the body easily and freely. Just stay here for a few moments. Let your eyes open up. When you feel ready, lift your knees and roll yourselves over to one side, coming all the way back up to a seated position. It's always important to stay sitting down just for a moment after your short meditation. When you feel ready, you're more than welcome to jump up and continue on with your day. Thanks for joining us for this session of Move It or Lose It. We'll see you next time.